it's Emily, and today we are going to be recapping A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. This is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and by far the absolute best book in the entire series. I highly recommend the whole book series, but this book specifically. I love this book, and I want everyone to read it. It's so good, but maybe not everyone. It is still new adult, so there is still mature content in it. But we are still getting ready for the new book that is coming out February 16th. So we are going to be recapping this book. And there's going to be major spoilers in this video, so don't watch if you don't want to be spoiled. I hate being spoiled, so I get that. Let's jump right in. Our story begins with Feyre, and she is healing in the Spring Court after her time under the mountain with Tamlin, her love. And she's been having all these nightmares. He doesn't check on her, all the while she is planning her wedding with Tamlin with her new BFF, Ianthe. She is a high priestess and kind of came out of the woodwork after Amarantha died, so if that kind of tells you anything about her character, that's Ianthe. It's finally wedding day when Feyre's halfway down the altar and she realizes that she does not want to marry this guy, and she's freaking out, begging for anybody to come save her in her mind, and this is when High Lord of the Night Court shows up, Rhysand. He stops her halfway through the ceremony and says that it's time for him to claim his part of the bargain, where she is to go live with him for 1 week out of every month. So they head over to the Night Court, and it's not as bad as Feyre once thought it was. Rhys wants her to learn to read and also to block her mind from people like him, since she's kind of been shouting down this bond that they have together whenever she has her nightmares or whenever she's freaking out. Rhys can hear it all. There's a cute little back and forth between them. They do this song and dance for a couple of times, back to the Spring Court, back to the Night Court, over and over until Tamlin freaks out and decides to lock Feyre up in his manor, and this is when her powers start coming out, which, by the way, he won't even let her practice with them. So she starts going full-on Avatar mode, and this is when Mor, or Rhys's cousin, shows up to rescue her from this prison. Feyre begins recovering a little bit at the Night Court, but Rhys has to go off somewhere, and Feyre is tired of being locked out of things, so she wants to go too. He tells her that it's super secret and she can't share it with anyone, and he takes her to Velaris, or the City of Starlight. This is a secret city that has been hidden from Amarantha. It's been hidden from the entire world, and it's such a beautiful, wonderful place to be. She also meets Rhys's inner circle, which includes Cassian and Azriel, who are some Illyrian warriors with wings, and then Amren, who used to be like Feyre. She kind of had a different body. We know that she's ancient. We know that she drinks blood. She's kind of a weird chick, but she's pretty powerful. And then, of course, we have Morrigan, or Mor, Rhys's cousin. Rhys wants to train Feyre in her new powers that were given to her by all the High Lords. He wants to use her against the King of Hybern, who is planning to go straight through Prythian and destroy all the humans. He's a lot worse than Amarantha even was. She was just one of his, ambassadors. This is the King of Hybern, people. He wants to kill and destroy. They first meet with the Bone Carver, this guy who carves stories into bones and really likes different people's bones. It's kind of weird. Anyways, he tells them that the King of Hybern has the cauldron, the cauldron that can do anything. And he wants to resurrect Jurian. You know, that human who fell in love with this girl, who fell in love with this Fae guy, and then he was an eyeball on Amarantha's ring for a long, long time. Well, yeah, that guy. The King of Hybern wants to resurrect him. The cauldron could also be used to destroy the wall. There is, however, a book that has 2 halves that can be used to destroy the cauldron. Feyre could do it, but one half is in the Summer Court, and the other half is with the 5 or 6 queens of the humans. I don't really remember how many they were, because they were kind of boring. I know there were a lot of them, but I really didn't care. Feyre has the ability to track these things, but Rhys first wants to test her out. He sends her to the Weaver, who he says that she has something that belongs to him, and Feyre has to figure out what it is. Well, she comes back with a ring, but she had to get over her paralyzing fear to escape the Weaver, which she does. So then we head to the Summer Court, where Feyre flirts with Tarquin, the Summer High Lord, and Rhys flirts with some other girl, and they're both absolutely miserable because they would rather be flirting with each other. Anyways, they find the first page, and Amren and Feyre almost drown, but they are saved by Feyre's cool water powers and some water wraiths that Feyre actually helped back while Tamlin was still being a giant tool bag, and they come and rescue her. Amren works to decipher the half of this book, and she has more invested in it because she could use this to go home, apparently. Meanwhile, all the rest of the gang meet with Nesta and Elaine at Feyre's family's manor, where they think that would be a good place to meet with the queens. They are none too happy to be having a bunch of Fae hanging out in their house, especially since Elaine is engaged to a fairy-hating guy, and Nesta's just always been feisty, so she's just mad about everything. Stop! Ugh! They meet with the queens, but the queens want them to prove that Rhys isn't this total jerk that everyone believes that he is, because the Night Court, he uses it as a front to hide Velaris, but he acts pretty evil there. So the only way they're going to be able to prove that they want good for humanity is to show them Velaris. They go to the Night Court to get this orb of truth from Morrigan's dad. Little bit of backstory on everybody. So Mor was going to just be given to the next High Lord that wanted her because she was super powerful and they wanted another super powerful guy, and her whole goal in life was just to make babies, and she didn't really want to do that. So she hung out with Cassian and Azriel and Rhys at the Illyrian war camp where they learned to become warriors, and they pretty much saved her from that, but she has a really complicated relationship with Cassian and Azriel. We're not really sure who she's with or if she's even with either of them, but who knows? They really care about her, and that's all that matters. But Morrigan's dad is a total jerk, and so we don't mind stealing the orb from him. While in the Night Court, Rhys has to act like the jerk that everyone knows that he is, and Feyre has to act like his plaything. We know it's all fake, but to Feyre, it feels pretty real. I mean, the connection between them does. Once they get this orb of truth that they're going to show Velaris to the queens, they head to one of their old Illyrian war camps to wait and hear what the queens have to say. During this time, Rhysand is attacked, and Feyre has to save him using her healing powers, only after learning this from the Suriel, when the Suriel actually tells her that Rhys is her mate. Finally, okay people, it is finally time for Feyre to figure this out. Rhys is always the one that Feyre was to belong with, and now she knows. But unfortunately, it came from the Suriel's lips and not Rhys, so she throws a temper tantrum, runs off to this cabin where she totally paints the inside of it, which I think is pretty rude, but whatever, we'll let it slide. When Rhys shows back up, and she gives him a bowl of soup and accepts the mating bond. And then they have a little cabin honeymoon. But it's time to get back to reality, and they meet with the queens, who they use the orb to show them Velaris, but they still don't care. They tell them that they are not going to help them. They poof off, and one of the queens left the page behind. She snuck it out to them and left them a note warning them of the other queens. Well, they rush this back to Velaris, where Amren furiously works on deciphering it. But during this time, a whole bunch of fairies that look just like the Ator attack Velaris. Velaris has not been attacked for many, many years, and it's being attacked, and it's a beautiful place, and it doesn't deserve to be attacked. And it's very sad. But anyways, it doesn't matter because Feyre decides to fight, because she decides that Velaris is her homeland too, and she is going to fight for it. So she kills the Ator using her really cool powers. I love Feyre. It is finally time to break this magical cauldron, and Feyre and the gang show up at the King of Hybern's place and go to break it, but the King of Hybern and Jurian are already there waiting for them. So are Tamlin and Lucian, by the way. They have made a deal with the king to give him access to their part of the wall and use their lands as his base camp in order to break Feyre's bond. Well, they didn't know that Rhys was her mate, but he thinks that he can go ahead and break the mating bond too. That's not how this works, Tamlin. You just need to take a step back, okay? The double-crossing queens also show up, and they want to use the cauldron to become immortal, but first they want to know that it's safe. So the double-crossing Ianthe, there's a lot of double-crossing going on here, told the king where to find Nesta and Elaine, and use them first. They get turned into Fae. They hate Fae. They don't want to be this. I'm actually surprised. I really thought that once Elaine went in, Nesta would be okay with going in because she would want to do whatever Elaine was doing. But, I mean, I guess she fought it tooth and nail. Feyre then uses her powers to break the curse that is binding them there, not allowing them to winnow out. And she pretends that Rhys has been mind-controlling her this whole time, and that she wants to go back with Tamlin, and wants him to break the bond. And we're all heartbroken about this, but we understand that she wants Rhys and Mor to winnow her sisters out, and get them to safety. And she'll figure something out later because, I mean, she's got awesome powers. But it still is pretty heartbreaking. The king breaks their bond. He thinks it's the mating bond, but it is not. It is only the bargain that they made where she had to go stay with him for 1 week out of every month. That is the only bond that he broke. He did not break their mating bond, but Tamlin thinks that he did, and so he whisks her away while Mor and Rhys winnow everybody out back to safety. But not before Lucien drops the bomb that Elaine is his mate. We are at the very end, and this is when Rhys reveals that Feyre is not only his mate, but they took vows for her to become High Lady of the Night Court. So she is going to go into Tamlin's court. She is going to destroy them all from within. She is to be their spy. She is going for it like none before. I have chills. I just have chills. That is just how good this book is. And if my recap did not do it justice, that's because this book is just too amazing to encompass in just a few minutes. So I highly suggest you going to read it. I'm about to read the next one. Looking forward to it. Can't wait for the new one to come out. If you guys have any suggestions for any other books that you want me to recap, just leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, let me know what you thought about this book. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!